Hi, and welcome to the weekly predictions based on astrology for the week of May 11, 2020. First, as usual, let's go over our predictions for the previous week real quick. I predicted that market would be up pretty much every day of the week, and I also made a prediction about gold dropping, I believe 6th through 9th of May, and let's see what happened. We did have market up on Monday and Tuesday of the previous week. On Wednesday, the results were mixed. We had Nasdaq up and Dow Jones was down. Thursday, market was up, and Friday, it was up again. There was a drop in gold prices on Wednesday and Friday, and each day it went down by about over 1%. But then on Thursday, gold actually went up, and I was expecting it to be like a sustained drop for several days rather than down, up, down. Ongoing prediction that I have is that for previous year, same thing as for this year, is that we should expect increased seismic activity, increased probability of large earthquakes, some sort of shakeups, either literally with the earth where we have some big accidents, or basically, like I said, earthquakes or even accidents that involve big buildings coming down, or bridges, or some structures, or structures related to governments, replacement of important leaders, or tops, heads of the corporations. I haven't really been, either I didn't see it or I just missed it, any sort of news about corporate leaders being removed or passing away, etc. And in terms of earthquakes, there were a couple 6+ earthquakes last week, 6.8 in Indonesia and 6.1 in Papua New Guinea, and a whole bunch of 5 point something all over the world: Philippines, China, Peru, Chile, and Kyrgyzstan. And there were also lower level earthquakes that maybe were not as strong in size, but actually were relatively strong for the area where they occurred. So 4.5 in California and 3.3 just this Monday on the 11th of May, which is when I'm recording this, near Rome. Again, that's not a very strong earthquake per se, but the tremors were felt in the capital of Italy. In terms of, like I said, leaders either passing away or being removed, I guess maybe I missed that. I'm not sure when it was. Some sort of a supposedly some tribulations in Venezuela where they're trying to either remove the leader, or some dislike of the leader, or accusations of a coup attempt. I don't know exactly the details, but these are the kinds of events that one would expect to continue on this year, where again, leaders who have been in power for a long time, or corporations, or basically how corporations or certain governments are structured, basically who's in power, who's in alliance with whom. We have Brexit. All of those big issues, these geopolitical changes, will continue to be in focus this year. I am not aware of like a highlight that had occurred specifically in the week of May 4th, or again, maybe I'm just oblivious to some of the important things that are happening in the world. For some other predictions that I made was specifically for May 4th and 5th. I made a prediction that's some medicine maybe in the news because of its cost either skyrocketing or perhaps the prices falling down dramatically. And as I mentioned in my last week's video, I didn't really see anything like that, but I did see an announcement specifically on the May 4th that FDA granted emergency authorization for this drug remdesivir for the treatment of COVID-19. But I don't think that the pricing has been yet established for that. There's just some research going into that. What should be the cost effective, I guess, how much should it cost, given how much it costs to produce, the demand and whatnot. Let's see. And I also made prediction for May 4th and 5th that we would see increased news about all these Neptunian topics such as Navy, water, ships, transportation over water, water pollution, religion, mental health, beverages, poisons, chemicals, oil, gas, and all that good stuff. and the news will likely be stressful. And what I did see, but on May 7th, was that there was a leak, news about the leak at a chemical plant in India that had unfortunately killed at least 9 people and put hundreds of people in hospital. So let's see, so that's pretty much it, very brief wrap up. And for this week of May 11th, we have an ongoing prediction of, like I said, all these big shakeups. It's a slowly moving sort of a background influence that will be in place through the end of this year. For this week, it peaks on May 14th and 14th through 17th, where indeed we may see even larger scale earthquakes. Already last week, I would say, was slightly more intense than the week before, and this week, May 14th through 17th, indeed have a signature where there might be, either a strong earthquake or, like I said, an accident or disaster involving like an old structure or large-scale structure crashing down. Let's see, and another influence we have that's going to be an on-off all year, and the next period of intensify energy for this next influence I'm about to describe is going to be in August, but we will be feeling it, kind of feel it building up in the meantime. And specifically, it will be, again, focused on kind of reorganization, either among large corporations, potentially increased in sort of a power that either governments have over such corporations or corporations themselves choosing to restructure. So perhaps bankruptcies, again, some old branches will be consolidated or cut off or declare bankruptcies, changes in power and leadership, and indeed the entire month of August may see a lot of natural disasters or news about these kind of restructuring, bankruptcies, government coming and either taking over, in the best case, regulating something that previously was not, regulated and was posing too much risk. But either way, this kind of more of a tighter grip, war losses, and basically the either voluntary regulations to kind of prevent losses or, regulations following losses and kind of trying to bring about more stability. And like I said, that's in the best case scenario. In the worst case, we can have strong like natural disasters, large natural disasters, or even negative events such as like some shootings or increase in fighting among some countries. And along with that, there may be some increased news about like delays, shortages, lack of safety, and major changes in various like businesses that have been previously established, especially either something that was taken for granted or long sort of a standing company, and there may be some major changes. And specifically for US, again, month of August is quite significant, and for China, so there may be something related to one or both of these countries. For US, August 13th through 21st are quite significant for China, especially August 9th through 17th. And another background influence that we have is, that is specific to US, that is actually from January of 2020 till December of 2021. So again, this ongoing background influence in 2020, significant dates are from February 14th through July 7th, and then later in the fall, November 16th through December 12th. And that will see increased focus on various international agreements, negotiations, diplomatic relations, partnerships, etc. And at retail, sales, communication, transportation, businesses. Again, we may hear about some end of a cycle and restructuring, either again bankruptcies, problems with taxes, concerns about loans, rates, or even hacking. And or there may also be increased news about some sort of secretive activities or hidden activities or inappropriate activities that some of these companies, especially in the area, like I said, retail, sales, communication, transportation, may be engaging in, where the news is maybe top leadership is found to be engaging in some abusive or deceptive practices, or there's a scandal breaks up where again there some whistleblower comes up with some information that's kind of makes the company look bad, or leadership of that company look bad. And or we may hear more about, not necessarily the scandals per se, but companies that deal with underground activities, literally like some sort of underground storage, recycling, or coal mining, for example, or event companies or businesses involved in like literally spying or investigating may be affected, again, where they may be more in the news, or they may need to be again, either declaring bankruptcy or coming up with some new approach because old approach no longer works, or vice versa. They may have to bring old leader back because there is some problem with leadership. Again, there's restructuring and they can't find leaders, so they have to bring back something sort of from the past. And there may be concerns generally, or not concerns, but more projects either related to businesses who actually are involved in these projects because this is their business, and that would be, maybe a positive development because there'll be just more focus on taking care of things and improving safety of women and children, maybe like human trafficking type topics. Or if the company itself is not related to, say, some sort of security company, if the company is related to something completely different, like media or retail sales, and suddenly there may be some news coming up about some, like I said, scandal or something that they're involved in, or a leader is involved in something that's not quite kosher. It could be tax avoidance, or some taxes were declared appropriately, or like I said, simply they're bankrupt, they're trying to get a loan and they can't. And businesses in these areas, either, like I said, businesses that deal with these kind of underground locations, literally, or underground secretive topics, or businesses related to retail, sales, communication, transportation, may particularly experience need, of cash, or they may deal with things like insurance fraud, debt, loans, and so basically some financial trouble type situations for them. For China coronavirus outbreak, I already made some other comments previously, but basically I think that we still have more waves of information, either waves of to come, and specifically August through November, with November 9th through 13th being, I guess, the peak times for China specifically related to these kind of related topics about either COVID-19 itself, so news about corrections or new reports of the number of deaths, or the spread of pandemic or new wave, or perhaps a solution to sort of limit the spread, or changes in some policies related to either the virus, or research, or hospitals, or how the situation is handled within the country. So there will still be increased news, like I said, especially August through November of this year for China. And then for oil prices, the ongoing influence is quite interesting. This week on May 12th to 13th, we will see increased news like we already have. Obviously, oil and gas news and prices are in the air, so to speak. It's an important topic in general, but on the 12th, 13th, we will see an even kind of a stronger uptick in news about oil prices, and there may be some either reversal of the situation or some sort of reevaluation may be needed of some current approaches and certain practices. It could be either related to literally production, like of the oil, and or transportation, or whatever the activities are needed to process it and turn it and whatever other products. So there may be some major kind of pause and rethinking, and okay, how do we do this in some sort of new way? And at the same time, there will be concerns because there will be some uncertainty about what exactly will be happening next. And because of this uncertainty of what exactly the new approach will be or new developments, the oil prices will also be in some sort of a confused, uncertain situation. It will be very difficult to assess it accurately, and this confusion may sort of bring the market down and or definitely make investors, I guess, cautious even more so about how to price the oil and basically what to expect the prices to be. And this will actually, like I said, start around May 12th, but it will continue sort of building up, where it will be more and more like vocal push for kind of let's do something, let's fix the situation, and the push may be more and more aggressive, either like literally just verbally sort of initiating some sort of projects and discussing them, and or worst case scenario, literally fighting either over oil or fighting in places where oil is produced, or some sort of fighting or explosions on fires, etc. That have to do with navy, ships, and over water, or involving chemicals or poisons of some sort, or perhaps fire at a hospital, fire at a marina, underwater volcano explosion. So these kind of news will continue building up and will culminate around early to mid-June, and especially June 8th or 15th, with even more precisely June 10th and 11th will be being the key days of such events. But we will continue kind of hearing it. This will be building up from mid-May, basically May 12th through June 15th approximately. So in the meantime, in May, there will be this uncertainty about oil and gas sort of prices, as well as maybe prices or sort of what is happening also with other Neptunian topics, such as some chemicals or beverages, or of course pharmaceuticals. And around May 19th through 27th, that kind of feeling of confusion, uncertainty, the prices not being what, they were expected to be, going sort of in the direction most likely, I guess, down, I'm guessing, or general uncertainty about the stock market and where sort of to safely park money, maybe this sense of confusion, like where is the best way of, to invest, so for the money to be safe, and still feeling kind of uncertain and unsafe about that. It may still correspond with the drop in the stock market, I believe, even though right now we kind of are going through this bounce and recovery, at least for now, but I think we still will have this down, and again, especially in early to mid-June. And then around June 3, these activities that I'm describing will likely further accelerate, and there may be also accompanied by some sort of negotiations. So perhaps negotiations to influence oil prices, or negotiations associated with other Neptunian topics. So it could be between, chemical producers of some sort, or pharmaceutical companies, or negotiations about the price, not just of oil, but also of some drug, for example, or beverage, or about, movies even. I've heard that there's some, today that there was some, I think AMC stock was going up on some rumors of Amazon buying it. And of course, it's the movie theater. So there will be, audio and visual sort of technology, or literally music, movies, religion, all of these are Neptunian topics, and we will hear all of those areas kind of experiencing similar trend, where again there's confusion about the proper value. It's hard to kind of predict what the value will be, and it will remain so for a while. However, though, at the same time, there will be a push to kind of fix the situation, because this uncertainty will be kind of scary. And so the push will be, okay, let's do something about it, but it may be happening in a way that will be hard to pinpoint. So what exactly is being done? Or literally it could be done in a way where it causes, I guess, too much fighting, too much arguments, or literally leads to accidents such as explosion, gas leak, etc. Right, so again, this will start building up this week through mid-June. So finally, 2 exact predictions for each individual day of the week. I still think this week it's not as certain as some other weeks, but still I give about 55 to 60% chance that for every day except Wednesday, market will be going up. Wednesday looks more like a down day. For May 11, 12, there may be increased focus on industries related to retail sales, communication, transportation, such as cars, planes, phones, social media, newspapers, TV networks, gadgets, applications like apps, software apps, and online shopping. We may actually hear some positive news about these areas where some conditions are improved, or some new projects are being put in place that will actually have long-term solutions to something, or long-term vision. And at this time, if whatever the long-term projects in these areas are started, actually they most likely will be successful, and again, because it will be done right with proper planning. And or there might be some news about new projects that involve large-scale manufacturing, indeed, especially when it comes to aerospace, airlines, and cars. Let's see, and there may also be reports that there's some improvement, increase in ease with which either people or goods are being moved. It may be easier to travel or shop or move about, and or there may be some new apps announced specifically related to shopping, communication, or traveling. Let's see, for US, the period of May 4th through 21st, and especially May 8th and 18th, and then July 27th through 30th, may see positive news such as improved earnings, additional funding, increased value, permissions granted to do something, or some other beneficial developments related to sports, racing engines, military, as well as stock market, entertainment industry, and casinos. So maybe they're allowing them to open, or for sports events to be held, or some additional funding is allotted to support some of the related activities, for example. For US, May 11th is also important, and that has to do more with focus on oil industry and or gas, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, beverages, Navy, marine life, fishery, all that stuff. And for those industries, on May 11th, there may be positive news, minor positive news, such as increased financing, or some clarity is basically gained on how to move forward to improve the situation, to increase gains. So if there's either improved earnings, or there's some more of a clarity about what to do, what is allowed to do, so that those industries can, recover. Let's see. May 12th, Tuesday, will probably also be an up day, which today, Monday, recording is at the end of the day, so I saw that market ended up mixed. Nasdaq was up and Dow Jones was down, I believe. So Tuesday, I think it'll still be an up day, but I think it'll be slightly more, mood will be slightly more practical than on Monday, and investors will be less likely to take risks and focus on long-term investments rather than invest in something short-term just to get quick gains. Let's see, on May 12th and 13th, as already mentioned before, there may be increased focus on oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, and that will start some sort of a cycle of events that will culminate sometime mid-June, I believe, and may involve push for changes in the Neptunian areas, including oil, gas, but also pharmaceuticals, beverages, even religion or healthcare, and it may be accompanied by either, like I said, push for changes. At the very minimum will be heated arguments about what should be done, and in the worst case, accompanied by accident, explosions, fires, and even fighting. And indeed, on the Monday, on the 11th, there were some news about accident from Iran, where on the Strait of Hormuz there was some incident where they were doing some training or something, exercise, and some missile was fired accidentally. But the bottom line is that this is just the beginning of this period, and we'll continue to hear more about things like that. Like I said, fire at some oil manufacturing facility, again by accident, or maybe there's an attack, or fire at some sort of hospital, fire at a lab that handles some chemicals, etc. And that will start sometime on May 12th, 13th, and will be building up in the upcoming weeks. Then also May 12th, 13th may see increased news about retail sales, communication and transportation industries. And there we may hear about some unexpected changes in value, turnabouts in some pending negotiations, so something that's been pending may be abruptly canceled, again for some revaluation, or the financing project, the financing may be cut, or it could be higher or lower than expected. Some agreements may be canceled, or some logistics and how something is communicated, sold, delivered may be again reevaluated and changed. So, maybe how something is being priced, for example. There may be some reevaluation, like movie tickets. How should we price them? How should we deliver, movies, for example, or music? or oil or pharmaceuticals or chemicals. Let's see, or even clean water for that matter. So let's see, then another noteworthy thing to mention is that Friday, I'll only give it about 55% chance of it going up, and down may or may not be slightly down, but then in the late afternoon, market may pick up and end up. In the morning, there may be some concerns about some confusing news or some uncertainty about earnings, and it may actually go down in the morning a little bit. And the confusion may be about either retail sales, communication and transportation, as well as oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, beverages, Navy, etc. So on Friday morning, news may be somewhat uncertain, but I think by the afternoon, things will look up better, and market may end up at the end of the day. And in the sort of the glance ahead, I'm not going to repeat all of the predictions for the upcoming weeks. I have them listed on my blog at tolstunka.com, but just one sort of a glance ahead of the next week, May 19th through 22nd, especially the 20th and the 22nd, may see yet again increased news about oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, healthcare, Navy, religion, movies, beverages, wet weather, etc. And particularly on May 20th and May 22nd, because of these kind of uncertainties or concerns, there may be a strong market drop. And I just saw an article today that apparently this hurricane season, which starts June 1st, is predicted to be stronger than usual, with like 6 or plus potentially large category, whatever, major category, I guess, hurricanes. Sorry, I'm not up on my hurricane categories. But basically, it is interesting to me because I did see, and I mentioned already for many weeks, that June 8th or 15th will see likely some strong stressful events related to specifically things like fire and water, meaning we have this conjunction of Mars and Neptune in Pisces, which again, we have lots of water, and suddenly there's fire or heating, which of course you can have hurricane, you can have underwater volcano explosion, you can have fire in the marina, you can have just some explosion at an oil rig, a gas leak, etc. But it definitely is supportive of a strong hurricane season. Again, that's for June. And separately, as I already mentioned earlier, just in this video and previously as well, is that August, both globally and also for US, as well as of course China, which they don't have hurricanes there, they have typhoons, but August also looks the entire month, and I was trying to distill some dates, and for US I think I mentioned it was like, when was it? 13th through the 21st looked particularly bad, but really the entire month of August looks pretty stressful, and of course August is when we have a lot of hurricanes as well, which one could predict this blindly. Okay, August you'll have some hurricane, but this particular year has been pretty stressful. We have some major aspects going on, and August is one of those months where we will have global transits being stressful and transits to US chart being stressful. And so definitely I would say this scientific prediction of an expectation of a strong hurricane season definitely is similar to what I see in astrological transits. So hope this helps, and hope it was interesting to watch, and you'll come back next week. Until then, have a safe week, everyone. Bye.